the Forgotten Lighthouse. On the rugged coast of Maine, where jagged cliffs meet the raging sea, there stands an abandoned lighthouse known as Mariner's Haven. Locals whisper stories of its haunting past, a place said to be cursed by the spirits of sailors who never made it back to shore. No one dares to visit it after dark, until now. Lena, a passionate vlogger specializing in urban exploration, receives an anonymous tip about the lighthouse. The message is cryptic. Discover the truth of Mariner's Haven before it disappears forever. Intrigued, she convinces her two best friends, Kyle and Rachel, to join her for an overnight investigation. Armed with cameras, flashlights, and a healthy dose of skepticism, the trio sets out to unravel the mystery. The lighthouse looms ahead as they approach by boat. Its rusty exterior and shattered windows resemble a corpse decaying under the moonlight. A chilling breeze carries the faint sound of a foghorn, though the sea remains eerily calm. As the group ventures inside, their cameras catch glimpses of strange phenomena, shadows darting across the walls, faint whispers in the air, and cold spots that make their breath visible. They discover a journal belonging to Captain Elias Marlowe, the lighthouse keeper who vanished decades ago. His entries reveal his descent into madness, claiming he was haunted by the Watchers of the Deep. Suddenly, the main door slams shut, trapping them inside. Panic sets in as they realize their phones have lost signal, and the boat they arrived in is no longer visible through the windows. Lena pushes the group to explore further, convinced the journal holds the key. They find a hidden staircase leading to the basement, where the air grows thick and smells of salt and decay. At the bottom, they uncover an ancient, barnacle-covered artifact, a ship's bell inscribed with cryptic symbols. Kyle, overwhelmed by curiosity, rings the bell despite Lena's warnings. The ground trembles, and the walls echo with agonized screams. A spectral figure materializes, Captain Marlowe, his eyes glowing with fury. "You've disturbed their slumber," he roars. The trio is plunged into chaos as the Watchers, monstrous apparitions with elongated limbs and glowing eyes, emerge from the shadows. They are relentless, their movements jerky and unnatural, as if they are puppets controlled by an unseen force. Rachel is dragged away by one of the creatures, her screams fading into the abyss. Lena and Kyle flee to the top of the lighthouse, where the lantern room offers a temporary reprieve. Desperation drives Lena to ring the bell again, hoping to reverse the curse. Captain Marlowe reappears, this time pleading for release. "Destroy the bell," he commands, "or they will claim you too." With the Watchers closing in, Lena and Kyle use a rusted anchor to smash the bell. The artifact shatters, releasing a deafening wail that shakes the lighthouse to its core. The Watchers dissolve into mist and Captain Marlowe vanishes, mouthing a silent "thank you." The storm subsides and the main door creaks open, revealing the faint light of dawn. Exhausted and grief-stricken, Lena and Kyle stumble out, their cameras the only evidence of their harrowing ordeal. Back in the safety of her apartment, Lena reviews the footage. To her horror, one frame captures Rachel's reflection in a window, her eyes glowing like the Watchers. The story ends with Lena staring into the camera, her own reflection beginning to change. Lena hasn't spoken about what happened at Mariner's Haven for weeks. The video she recorded sits untouched on her computer. Kyle avoids her calls, and the weight of Rachel's loss haunts her every waking moment. But late one night, Lena's email pings with an anonymous message. "You've only begun to uncover the truth. The Watchers are not finished." Chilled to her core, Lena opens the attached image. It's a still frame from her footage. Rachel, standing in the shattered lantern room, staring directly at the camera, her glowing eyes more vivid than ever. Lena reluctantly reaches out to Kyle, who has been trying to bury the trauma with alcohol and isolation. He refuses at first, calling her reckless for wanting to delve back into the horror. But when Lena shows him the email, his skepticism crumbles. Together, they decide to investigate further, determined to understand why the Watchers are still tormenting them. They begin by researching the ship's bell they destroyed. Lena discovers that it wasn't just an artifact. It was an anchor between the mortal world and an ancient undersea realm. The Watchers, it seems, are bound to this realm, but the bell's destruction didn't sever their link. It only enraged them. As Lena and Kyle dig deeper, strange occurrences plague their lives. Lena wakes up to the sound of a foghorn blasting outside her apartment, despite living miles from the sea. Kyle begins to hear whispers in his head, urging him to return to the lighthouse. One night, Lena dreams of Rachel, her friend standing on the edge of a cliff, her body swaying with the wind. "They won't let you go," Rachel whispers. "You freed them, and now they need a new anchor." When Lena wakes, she finds salt water pooled on her bedroom floor. Their research leads them to an old mariner named Joseph Crane, a recluse who once served as a deckhand on Captain Marlowe's ship. When they find him, he is reluctant to speak, but the fear in his eyes is unmistakable. "You destroyed the bell?" he asks, horrified. "Then you've doomed yourselves. The Watchers demand balance. One of you must take their place." Left with no choice, Lena and Kyle return to the lighthouse. The journey is treacherous. Their boat is nearly capsized by sudden waves, and the fog seems unnaturally thick. When they arrive, the lighthouse feels alive, its walls pulsing as if the building itself is breathing. Inside, they find evidence that someone or something has been there. Candles burn in the lantern room, casting shadows that dance like living entities. The journal of Captain Marlowe lies open to its final page, which wasn't there before. The sea does not forgive. The sea does not forget. In the basement, they hear Rachel's voice calling for help. Against Kyle's protests, Lena follows the sound, finding her friend standing amidst the shattered remnants of the bell. Rachel looks human at first, but as she steps closer, her face begins to change. Her eyes glow, and her skin takes on a translucent, waterlogged appearance. "Leave this place," Rachel warns. "They're coming for you. I tried to resist, but they took me. They'll take you too unless you give them what they want." Rachel points to a newly formed artifact, an ornate, glowing conch shell resting where the bell once stood. The Watcher's whispers grow louder, filling the air with an unbearable cacophony. Lena realizes the conch is the new anchor, a beacon for the Watchers. Kyle, overcome by the whispers in his head, grabs the conch and prepares to throw it into the sea, thinking it will end everything. But Rachel screams, "No, it will only make them stronger." Understanding the true meaning of balance, Lena takes the conch and steps toward the lighthouse edge. "It has to be me," she says. "I brought us here. I woke them up." Kyle tries to stop her, but the Watcher's apparitions emerge, blocking his path. As Lena blows the conch, the ground trembles, and the Watchers swarm her, pulling her into the darkness. The sea grows still, the whispers fade, and the lighthouse returns to silence. Kyle is left alone on the shore, staring at the calm water. He takes the camera and documents everything, vowing to tell Lena's story. But as he leaves, he hears the faint echo of a foghorn and feels the pull of the sea calling him back. Weeks after Lena's sacrifice, Kyle struggles to move on. He uploads a heavily edited version of their footage online, hoping to warn others about Mariner's Haven. The video goes viral, drawing both skeptics and believers. Among the flood of comments, one stands out. "The Watchers haven't finished their work. She's not gone, not yet." Kyle can't shake the message or the voice in his head, which grows louder each night, whispering Lena's name. The pull of the sea becomes unbearable. Desperate for answers, he decides to return to the lighthouse one last time. Kyle gathers supplies, rope, waterproof gear, and a weapon, and rents a small boat. As he sails toward Mariner's Haven, the ocean seems alive with menace. The waves churn violently and a dense fog engulfs him, but he presses on, guided by the faint sound of a foghorn. Reaching the lighthouse, he notices strange changes. The building appears less decayed, as if time is reversing its ruin. The lantern room glows faintly, and faint figures move within. Kyle knows he is not alone. Inside, the lighthouse is eerily silent. Kyle follows the whispers he hears in his head, climbing the winding staircase to the lantern room. There, he finds a shocking sight. Lena's reflection in the glass panes, her face pale and her eyes glowing faintly. "Lena?" he calls, his voice trembling. Her reflection speaks, though her lips do not move. "They took me, Kyle. They're keeping me between worlds. I'm still here, but I can't leave unless the curse is broken." She explains the truth. The Watchers are not just vengeful spirits, they are ancient entities bound by the sea's hunger. Every generation they demand a soul to maintain the balance. Lena was supposed to be that soul, but her sacrifice was incomplete. "They want you now," she says, her voice filled with sorrow. Determined to free Lena, Kyle descends to the basement. There he finds the glowing conch shell pulsating with light. The room feels alive, its walls covered in shifting barnacle-like growths. He hears the Watchers' whispers growing louder, their forms flickering at the edges of his vision. Kyle realizes that destroying the conch won't end the curse. It will only summon the Watchers in full force. Instead, he must perform a ritual described in Marlowe's journal, one that binds the Watchers back to the sea. But the ritual requires a terrible price. Kyle must offer his own life. As Kyle prepares for the ritual, the Watchers attack, their grotesque forms emerging from the shadows. Their movements are jerky and unnatural, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Kyle fights them off with his makeshift weapon, but he knows he can't hold them back for long. He begins the incantation, reciting the ancient words from Marlowe's journal. The conch shell vibrates violently, and a powerful wind sweeps through the lighthouse. The Watchers scream in fury, their forms dissolving into mist. But the ritual demands its price. As the final words leave his lips, Kyle feels the cold grip of the sea pulling him downward. The conch shatters, and the lighthouse begins to collapse. Kyle wakes up on a desolate shore, the lighthouse visible only as a faint silhouette in the distance. The whispers are gone, and the air feels lighter. He finds Lena sitting beside him, alive but changed, her skin pale, her eyes holding a faint glow. "You did it," she says softly. "You freed them, but the curse will never truly end. The sea always takes what it's owed." As Kyle looks out at the ocean, he sees something unsettling, a distant shadow moving beneath the waves, larger than any creature he's ever imagined. Lena and Kyle return to the mainland, vowing never to speak of the lighthouse again. But as they part ways, Kyle feels an undeniable pull back to the sea. Late one night, he hears the foghorn again and knows his connection to the Watchers isn't broken. It's only just begun. Kyle tries to return to normal life, but the foghorn haunts him nightly. His dreams are plagued by images of the Watchers and the shadowy depths of the ocean. Lena, too, struggles with her return to the mortal world. Her faintly glowing eyes reflect her bond with the sea, a reminder of the entities that still linger. When Kyle receives a package at his doorstep, his blood runs cold. Inside is a piece of the shattered conch, pulsating faintly with light, along with a note: "You are not free. The sea will claim you." Kyle visits Lena, desperate for answers. Together they research ancient maritime legends and find recurring tales of cursed lighthouses, glowing artifacts, and beings from the depths that demand sacrifice. They uncover a shocking revelation. The Watchers are tied to an ancient undersea civilization, long forgotten by mankind. The artifacts are remnants of this civilization, meant to tether their power to the surface world. Lena reveals a horrifying truth. Her connection to the Watchers grows stronger every day. She hears their whispers even during waking hours. "They want us both," she says. "But they're not just taking us, they're preparing for something bigger." As Lena and Kyle delve deeper into their research, strange phenomena begin to occur around them. Coastal towns report rising tides and sightings of shadowy figures in the water. Fishermen vanish without a trace, and the sea becomes unnaturally violent. Lena deciphers more of Captain Marlowe's journal and finds a chilling prophecy. When the anchor is broken, the tide shall rise, and the deep shall reclaim the land. The destruction of the conch did not end the curse, it accelerated it. The Watchers are preparing to emerge in full force, bringing their dark realm with them. Desperate to stop the Watchers, Kyle and Lena track down a marine archaeologist, Dr. Eliza Moreau, who specializes in lost civilizations. Skeptical at first, Eliza becomes convinced after witnessing Lena's glowing eyes and hearing Kyle's account. She reveals the existence of a submerged temple near the lighthouse, believed to be the origin of the artifacts and the Watchers' power. The trio assembles a team and secures diving gear for an expedition to the temple. As they descend into the icy depths, they feel the oppressive weight of the ocean. The temple looms ahead, its structure alien and otherworldly, covered in glowing symbols that pulse like a heartbeat. Inside, they find a massive stone altar surrounded by skeletal remains of sailors and explorers. At its center lies an enormous orb glowing with the same eerie light as the conch. Lena feels a pull toward it, her body trembling as the whispers grow deafening. The Watchers manifest in full force, their grotesque forms moving through the water with unnatural grace. The team fights to protect Lena as she approaches the orb, believing it to be the source of their power. Eliza translates the inscriptions on the walls, which describe a ritual to seal the Watchers permanently. But the ritual comes with a devastating choice. One of them must merge with the orb to become the new anchor, forever tethering their soul to the depths. Kyle volunteers, but Lena refuses. "They took me once," she says. "I'm already part of them. This is my fight." Lena places her hands on the orb and the temple begins to shake violently. The Watchers scream in fury, their forms dissolving into mist as the orb absorbs their essence. The ocean grows calm and the whispers fade. The team surfaces, but Lena does not return with them. The orb remains submerged, glowing faintly as a reminder of the balance restored. Kyle, heartbroken, dedicates his life to ensuring the story of the Watchers is preserved, warning others to respect the mysteries of the sea. But late one night, as he stands on the shore, he hears Lena's voice carried by the wind. The sea always remembers. The story ends with a haunting image, Kyle staring out at the ocean, the faint glow of Lena's eyes visible beneath the waves. The Watchers may be sealed, but the curse of the sea endures, waiting for the next tide to rise. Months pass, but the nightmares don't fade. Kyle has devoted himself to documenting every detail of the Watchers, the lighthouse, and the submerged temple. Despite Lena's sacrifice, he feels the sea's pull more than ever. One night he wakes to find the shard of the conch on his desk glowing brightly. It pulses, and in its light he sees Lena's face, her expression a mix of pain and warning. Her voice echoes in his mind. "They are awakening again. The anchor won't hold them. You must finish what we started." Kyle begins noticing strange occurrences along the coast. The tides rise higher than ever, swallowing parts of the shoreline. Fishermen report seeing ghostly figures beneath their boats, and coastal towns are plagued by eerie fog that never lifts. Despite Lena's warning, Kyle resists returning to the lighthouse. But when Dr. Eliza Moreau contacts him, panicked and desperate, he realizes he has no choice. "Something's happening," she says over the phone. "The temple is no longer dormant, it's spreading." They meet at her research facility where she shows him recent sonar scans. The seabed around the temple has cracked, releasing massive columns of black mist that shift and move as if alive. The mist spreads like veins, corrupting the surrounding waters. Kyle and Eliza assemble a team of researchers, including a deep-sea diver named Marcus and an occult historian, Professor Bennett, who specializes in maritime curses. Together, they theorize that the orb Lena merged with is weakening. The Watchers are using its energy to create a gateway between their world and ours. Equipped with advanced diving gear and rituals translated by Professor Bennett, the team prepares for a final descent to the temple. Kyle, however, is haunted by Lena's voice, which grows louder each day. "They're waiting for you," she whispers, "but so am I." As the team dives toward the temple, the water grows unnaturally cold and dark. The currents carry whispers, and shadowy shapes flicker at the edges of their lights. When they reach the temple, they find it transformed. The glowing symbols now pulsate violently, and the structure appears alive, its walls moving as if breathing. Inside, they discover Lena's presence still tethered to the orb. Her translucent form appears before them, her eyes filled with sorrow. "I've held them back as long as I could," she says, "but their power is growing. They will break through unless you sever the connection completely." She explains the horrifying truth. The orb is not just an anchor, it's a doorway. Destroying it will stop the Watchers, but it will also unleash the full force of their wrath, obliterating everything within miles. The team debates their next move. Some want to leave, fearing the risk is too great, but Kyle refuses to abandon Lena or let the Watchers escape. Guided by her instructions, they prepare a counter-ritual to collapse the temple and seal the Watchers permanently. As they begin, the Watchers attack. their forms more monstrous and powerful than ever. Marcus is pulled into the shadows, his screams echoing through the temple. The remaining team fights to protect Kyle as he completes the ritual, chanting the ancient words written on the temple walls. Lena stands beside him, her ghostly form shielding him from the Watcher's grasp. "Finish it," she urges. With the final words, the orb shatters, releasing a blinding light. The temple shakes violently as the walls crumble. The Watchers let out deafening screams as they are pulled back into the abyss. Kyle wakes on the shoreline alone. The sea is eerily calm, and the lighthouse is gone, swallowed by the ocean. He looks down at his hands and finds them glowing faintly, the same way Lena's eyes once did. Dr. Moreau and Professor Bennett are nowhere to be found, and the remaining equipment is scattered along the shore. Kyle feels a deep emptiness, knowing Lena is truly gone. But as he stands, he hears her voice one last time. "Thank you." Kyle returns to the mainland, forever changed. He publishes his account of the events, warning others to leave the sea's mysteries undisturbed. But deep down, he knows the Watchers are never truly gone. One night, as he stares at the horizon, a faint glow appears beneath the waves. The foghorn sounds once more, and Kyle feels the pull of the abyss calling him back.